So we've talked about Google I/O quite a bit already on this channel, but we're going to milk this event a little bit more, and I think we're going to do it in a kind of interesting way. I hope the other ways were kind of interesting as well, but I think this one is also kind of interesting. We're going to talk about Chrome OS, and I know a lot of you hear Chrome OS and you mentally just want to check out and leave, but just hang with me here because this is actually, I think, quite fascinating. So Chrome OS for a really long time existed as basically just a glorified web browser as an operating system. Over time, it's been improved and it's been changed, and Android apps came along to Chrome OS, and that helps, right? You get a touch screen, you can run Android apps. My wife uses her Lenovo Chromebook Duet every day, and she primarily uses it as an ebook reader. She uses the Google Play Books app. It's the Android app that she uses, and she scrolls through her books, and that's how she likes to read. My mom uses a Chromebook HPX2 every day, and she likes the thing quite a bit. But Google has seemingly a new vision, not just for Chrome OS, but really for what they're going for with their software in general moving forward. And this is something that we saw at Google I/O. If you go on the Made by Google Twitter account, you will start to see what I am driving at here. What do we have here? We have a budget Pixel phone, a Pixel watch. We have top tier flagship Pixel phones. We have professional grade Pixel earbuds, Pixel buds. We have a Pixel tablet coming. Google is finally, slowly, or maybe at this point quite rapidly, driving towards an Apple-like ecosystem. And this is really important. Samsung has this. They've got watches, they've got phones, they've got tablets, they've got laptops. But the difference is with Samsung, the software is all third party. The software is primarily, it's none of it's their own anymore, right? It's Android. It's not Tizen anymore. It's Wear OS, which they have their fingers in that pie, so to speak. What a disgusting phrase. Don't put your fingers in a pie. That's gross. If I saw you do that in my house in a restaurant, I would ask you promptly to leave. They're laptops. Some of them are Chrome OS. Some of them are Windows. None of them are Samsung software. Google is in a unique position, a position that even Microsoft is no longer in. Once upon a time, Microsoft had all this hardware with their own software. Currently, Apple's the only one who's doing this besides Google. And so a big piece of that pie, for which I hope you can keep your fingers out of, is Chrome OS. Chrome OS, like I said earlier, was primarily just a web browser as an operating system. Well, that needs to change, and it is, in fact, changing. Chrome OS, over the last couple of years, not just in hardware, because the hardware has gotten radically better. And the cool thing about Chrome OS is that it's so lightweight that you don't even need that powerful of hardware to run really well. The hardware has gotten better. The software has gotten dramatically better, a fact for which a lot of people do not pay sufficient attention. And above all else, the synergy between all these different Google properties is growing quite rapidly. And you can see Google putting a ton of focus onto making Chrome OS what it needs to be for this to work. And that is to be a full-fledged, proper operating system. This can no longer be a pet project. This has to be a true, laugh at me if you want, but a true Windows competitor, a true OS X competitor. And if we look at where Chrome OS has already been quite successful, and this is in business, this is in schools, it has been wildly successful, and it has fully drank the milkshake of Microsoft in a lot of these areas. Look at what used to be the world that Microsoft owned in terms of education with Windows. They don't own that anymore. Okay, that is Google's property now. And that's a fact that I think people just simply don't talk about enough. Chromebooks, Chrome OS in the education system, is that a Trojan horse in a way? How many kids right now that are 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 are using a Chromebook every day, are just used to a Chromebook? Maybe they're not even using a Windows computer at all anymore. Okay, maybe the Chromebook is the only computer that they use. And when later on they're going to buy a computer they're going to say, well, Chromebooks, I know them. They work well. They have Android apps. They've got Steam, which we'll talk about later. They've got all these features that are coming, which I'll talk about later. I'll just buy a Chromebook. With that being said, that's what they need to do. They need to start convincing people to buy a Chromebook instead of a MacBook, instead of a Windows laptop, tablet, PC, whatever. And I think that they are moving quite rapidly in the right direction because we now know that Steam has arrived on Chrome OS on a handful of devices. Now, it is only a handful of devices, but it is there. And this is going to roll out to more devices over time. Expect in the next few years, Steam is just going to be a thing that you're going to be able to run, which means that proper gaming, not just Android games, proper gaming will be possible on a Chromebook. And you could say, well, it's not Windows, it won't be. Well, look at the Steam Deck. Okay, this thing doesn't run Windows. It runs a Proton layer. It runs a compatibility layer, and it works just fine. You're telling me they couldn't do something similar on a Chromebook? Of course they could. But there's some stuff that they showed off at Google I/O that I think is worth deep diving into because you're going to see feature parity with what Microsoft is trying to do. Microsoft is trying to co-opt Android into their own operating system. They're trying to make Windows and Android speak together. Google's doing this with Chrome OS with some pretty good success that we're going to look at here. So the first thing that I really am glad to see coming to more devices is fast pair. You've seen this on particular devices. You buy a new set of earbuds like the Pixel Buds Pro, you pop them open and your phone, a pop-up comes up like on an iPhone, wow, and it says, hey, there's some earbuds here, do you want to pair to them? Rather than having to manually go into your Bluetooth settings, go to pair and find it that way, fast pair just makes this a whole heck of a lot faster, and it is coming to Chrome OS. This is a thing that is going to just, it adds that layer of polish, right? That layer of cohesion, the similarity to how it works on Android as well, that I think is just a really good feature. Another really cool thing though that they show here, which is something that we kind of replicate on Windows with the Phone Link app, is the ability to actually see photos from your phone on your Chrome OS device, and it actually pops up here in your kind of notification shade. So you can see here Google Pixel, I think that says Pixel 6, and it says quick actions. You could turn on your hotspots. So let's say you're out somewhere in the world with your Chromebook, you pop it open, and you want to turn on a mobile hotspot from your phone. You don't have to pull out your phone and go and turn that on. You can just sit there, and they're connected already. And you can pull up this little menu. There's a little phone button down here. You click on that, turn on your hotspot right there. You can actually silence your phone. You can toggle location data on your phone. You can actually see their continue browsing, the last websites you were looking at. So you're looking at a website here. You pull out your Chromebook, click on the phone button, click on that thing, and the web page opens up and you continue reading. Synchronicity, it's wonderful. Your recent photos taken, all right there in this little menu. So you can do these things, right? With Android now, with the Phone Link app, you can pull up the Edge browser and it continue on phone and send it, but that's a manual process. You can open up the Phone Link app and you can see your recent photos. You can't toggle your hotspot. You could maybe go into streaming your phone screen to do some of these things, but this is all happening in a really automatic way on the Chromebook, on Chrome OS, whether it is a tablet or a laptop. And it just looks great. But we talked about streaming apps or streaming your phone. Well, that also is coming to Chrome OS. The ability to actually stream apps from your phone to your Chromebook and see them running in a little window there. That is something that currently, like I said, we can do through Phone Link, which is a Microsoft app on certain phones. Very important here. Surface Duo, some Samsung devices, some Honor devices are going to get this very, very soon if they've not already gotten it. This is something that could theoretically work on any Android device and theoretically on any Chromebook. Now, it is important to state that at first, this is just going to be communication applications, right? So your Google Messages, maybe WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook Messenger, things like that. But the door will be open for any app down the line. But then another big piece of this is just building that app catalog. And of course, they've got Android apps. And so that gives them this massive catalog of apps that are, it's honestly difficult to compete with. Now, you can say these are mobile apps. So they're not built necessarily with Chromebooks in mind. They're built with phones in mind, right? Well, what is Google doing right now? They're making a really big push towards making their apps work better on tablets, right? So they're making their apps take up the space better so that when you're using Twitter on a tablet, it's not just big Twitter. It's not just Twitter stretched way out. You know, Twitter needs to update, and Google is trying to pressure them, TikTok, Facebook, everyone else basically, and they're updating their own apps to take better advantage of that space. Well, that would apply to a Chromebook as well. That would apply to a Chrome OS tablet just the same. And we're seeing apps gain more and more traction on Chrome OS. As he states here, 83% of Chrome OS users are using apps outside of the browser. Okay, again, used to just be the browser. Most people now are using Android apps. Their PWA installs year over year are way up. Android app usage is way up. Now, I would push back a little bit. If they're considering a PWA to be something outside the browser, that would be a little disingenuous. I would need a breakdown of exactly what they mean there. But at any rate, people are using Android apps more for sure. And a big piece of this too is the fact that it's the same app you're used to using on your phones. The ability to move back and forth between them, the same user interface, or potentially a user interface that is better suited for a large screen, but it's still familiar to you. That's a really important thing as well. But it's really important to continue getting big name apps and apps that are good for productivity, right? Because a lot of people say, well, you can't get work done. You're going to use, web versions of Office, which I think are actually pretty underrated. But apps like Lumafusion are actually really important, especially for creators. Because right now, if you want to edit a video on your Chrome OS device, I'm not sure if CapCut is compatible. There's some Android apps you could probably use, but Lumafusion is a fully featured, like a proper video editor, and that is coming to Chrome OS very, very soon. And that is a very important development because it really does drive home the idea that Google, with Steam, with Lumafusion, with Android apps being updated to be better suited for larger screens, with all of the synergistic features we just talked about that are doing the similar things to what Microsoft is doing with PhoneLink, but maybe better in some ways, they are rapidly pushing Chrome OS to a maturity level that we just frankly are not used to seeing. If we look here at Lumafusion running on a Chromebook, if I, jump in the Wayback Machine and show you this a couple of years ago and said, this is a Chromebook, you would have thought I was insane. You would say, wow, this is a proper video editor. Like, this is really fully featured. This is a really nice video editor. And yes, this is possible on a Chromebook now. This is a thing you can do on a Chromebook. Guys, let me know what you think about this Google ecosystem and the importance of Chrome OS in that ecosystem. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.